Some great little ways to mobilize and strengthen your wrists today. Work to tolerance. So you want to feel that there is a little bit of demand and loading and resistance there. But it shouldn't feel painful. So if you're experiencing anything sharp or very darting, and if we get any tingling or pins and needles coming into the fingers as well, that's an indication to back off of that a little bit. Doesn't necessarily mean you can't do it, but do play around with your tolerance. And if you're uncertain of what is suitable or not for you, please do get in touch. We're going to start off with a simple mobilization of the wrists. So put your hands out in front like you're telling someone stop. Okay. Now we have extended your wrist a little bit here. I want you to keep the wrist extended and see can you curl just your fingers. So you're drawing the fingers in like you're trying to curl them in around a wire. Then you're going to bend the wrists down. So we have now put the wrist into this flexed position. At this point, I want you to drop and bend your elbows. It's like you're trying to pull a bar in towards your chest. Now straighten out the elbows, keeping your wrists flexed, and then sweep the hands back up to our start position. So open palms pushing forward, curl your fingers, curl your palms, curl your wrists, drop your elbows in and bend, then straighten out through the wrist, straighten out through the elbow and push those palms forward again. Curl, bend, curl the wrists, bend the elbows, pulling in, straightening out through all of those joints as you go. So I like to think about this movement almost like a cobra loading in and then that cobra sweeping out. So get that sense of triple bending in of elbow, wrist and fingers, and then feel that you're extending out elbow, wrist and fingers. As we make this movement, try to keep your arms in parallel to the body. So don't let your elbows wander out to the sides. Keep everything in close and parallel if we can. So work very much, as I say, to tolerance with that. Now we're going to think about mobilizing the fingers a little bit. And we're going to think about individuating. And the muscles that operate all of your fingers, the tendons for them and the muscles actually run down here into our forearms. So this is a great way to get the whole wrist complex working well. Think about just circling your thumbs. Okay, so let's just work them both. Circling the thumbs slowly as large as we can. Now keep your elbows soft in by your sides and try to avoid moving around your forearms. So we're just circling those thumbs and back around the other way to reverse the circles. We may notice that one side feels easier than the other and smoother. That's fine. Now try circling just your index fingers. So getting those index fingers drawing circles one way, and then try circling the other. Now try not to move the other fingers as we do this, and that's harder than it sounds. Now try your middle fingers, and we're going to notice, yeah, it's really hard to circle my middle fingers without moving my ring fingers, or maybe the forefingers as well. So I'm finding one hand a lot harder than the other here. Reversing, back around the other way, slow and steady. Looking to keep the fingers spread, so we have the webs of the fingers open. Now try your ring fingers. Really, really hard to circle the ring finger without the pinky fingers, your small fingers, joining in. So try and keep them as steady as you can. Back around the other way, and you'll feel the muscles down into your forearms working a little bit here as well. Pinky finger, so your little finger now, circling around. And observe the other fingers all trying to join in. It's very hard to differentiate just your little fingers, isn't it? Reverse the circle, back around the other way, and give them a nice little shake and loosen out. So picture that you're trying to shake drops of water off the ends of your fingertips. So really good, nice, loose shake out. Now let's think about a little bit of shoulder movement. So Our wrists and shoulders are very much interlinked. If we're holding a lot of tension in our shoulders, it actually drives tension into the wrists. Fingertips onto your collarbones, nice and soft, and just draw nice easy circles with your elbows. So as your elbows roll around, explore the movement. Keep the hands and the wrists soft and relaxed and gentle. And look to explore that circle, making it a little bigger if that feels okay. And remember, your tolerance, your decision, so making the circles a little bit smaller if that feels better for you for today. Now let's think about loading a little bit. Options I have here, that's a small little dumbbell, so it's a great little, nice, easy, snug in the hand. If we don't have a dumbbell, here's a great option, it's a food can. So this is 400 grams, that's less than half a kilo, and that's a nice weight to work with for the wrists. Another option is to use a water bottle, and a water bottle will be narrower in diameter than the can, so it might be a little bit easier to hold in the hand. So see what's around and see what works well for you. Now what I'd like you to do is to steady the forearm. So you're going to hold the forearm with the other hand. So the intention of that is to prevent your arm making the movement. We want just the wrist working here. So holding the can, see can we rotate to face the palm upwards and rotate to face the palm downwards. Keep the shoulders as relaxed as possible as we make this movement. Now maybe you can turn so that it's parallel to the floor here. Maybe you can't this way, so maybe it only comes to here, okay? So see, can we explore? So you can see I'm not quite making it to that parallel position here. I could if I move my arm, but we want to remember we're looking to keep the arm steady here. So you can see the importance of holding the forearm here as we make that small little movement. Repeat that with the other side. Now I'm just going to use this dowel here to give you a little bit more visual on it. So we're thinking about taking the palm to that parallel position here and then working towards the parallel here. So that's about my limit now. For me to take it to parallel would mean I'd have to make the movement at the shoulder here, yeah? So we're making sure we're holding on to that forearm as we turn one way and then the other. We're exploring the movement, we're not forcing it. Now we can have our chosen weight. Here's the food can. We could have our little dumbbell. We could have a bottle of water. Or we might decide to do this with no weight at all. You could even just hold a pen in the hand just to give you that visual on where are we going to with that angle, with that movement. Now let's try the palm facing upwards, so your weight is resting in the palm. Again, we're securing the forearm and see can we make a side to side movement. So try and keep the can parallel to the floor. Lead with your thumb going one way and lead with your little finger going the other way. So you can see I'm showing the top of the can forward and then I'm looking to try and show you the bottom of the can. Notice I have a lot more range of movement here than I have here. Now let's try making that same movement with the can facing downwards. And you're going to notice that's way harder. Okay, so it's a little bit shaky here with me and the movement is pretty tiny here, isn't it? So working maybe 8 to 10 repetitions of that. And if you feel you've done enough after 3 or 4, great, work with that. Switch over to the other side. Now I'm going to demonstrate again with the dowel just to give you the visual on that. My palm is facing upwards. I'm looking to keep the dowel level if I can. And I want the end of the dowel to point forward and then point backwards. Leading with my thumb and then leading with my small finger. Notice when we take that movement into the palm down position, it's a lot harder. So I can't get the dowel level here and it's really hard to make much movement with that at all. Lead with the little finger, lead with the thumb. So the movement is what we call deviation. It's a side to side movement of the wrist. Remember, throughout these movements, you're keeping your elbow in by your waist. You're holding with the other hand to give that steadiness and stillness to the forearm. Let's try loading our flexion and extension movement of the wrist. Again, hold your weight, palm facing upwards, secure the forearm. Allow the palm to face forward and then face in towards you. Do keep the forearm as quiet as you can as we flex and extend. Explore the movement, don't force it. And remember, we can always work with a lighter weight by using a water bottle with, maybe quarter full or half full. Or we can make the movement without loading also. Turn the palm downwards and we're going to notice that movement is tougher. And for me, it's giving a little click in my elbow here. So you can see the movement is not that big and it's slow, steady and focused. Keep the forearm nice and steady here. Keep the elbow quiet in against the side. Try that with the other hand. Start palm upwards because that's going to be a little bit easier. You're curling inwards with the wrist and then we're allowing that weight to extend the wrist. We're keeping your elbow quiet and still. We're holding that forearm to make sure that's not making the movement. It really is the wrist itself making the movement. Bigger movement or smaller movement, whatever feels like it's giving you the appropriate challenge for your body for today. Let's finish that sequence by giving a little bit of forearm massage. You're going to make a loose fist and use the knuckles to just make nice small little circles around on your forearms. Working about an inch below your the little bend of your elbow there, and working to an inch or so above your wrist. So what we don't want is to press in on this area of the wrist, and we don't want to press in into the crease of the elbow either. It probably wouldn't feel too good anyway. Rub around the back of the arm so we can go from the outside of the elbow here and we can work all the way down to the back of the wrist. So this part of our tissue is a little bit less vulnerable. Okay, so it's more protected. And just give a nice little circular movement with as much pressure as feels good for you today. Work the other side. Nice little circular movements, your knuckles providing a little bit of pressure. Remembering that we're avoiding in the crease of the elbow here and we're avoiding in the inner wrist here also. Gentle or firmer pressure. See what feels pleasant and good to you today. And working the back of the arm. Back of the arm, we can come from the outer part of the elbow here, down along those muscles all the way to the back of the wrist. We can also give a little bit of massage to the hands themselves, just squeezing, pummeling, working our way along the fingers themselves so we can squeeze and pummel a little bit the sides, the top, the front of the fingers, all the way along each finger. So we're squeezing. We can also create a little bit of a sort of a gentle tugging. So you're creating a little bit of traction and pull on the joints of the fingers. And it's just going to give a nice little bit of lubrication. Working across to the other side, nice little pummeling and kneading motion in around the pad at the base of the thumb, the palm itself, a little bit around the back of the hand, and then that nice pinching down along the fingers, so the front, sides and back of the fingers, and also thinking about that gentle little bit of traction. The fluid in between your phalangeal joints here, all getting a little bit of a swoosh around as we make that movement, and that gentle traction as we pull slightly on the finger itself. Working our way across all of the fingers, and then giving that little shake again. Feel that you're letting those drops of water off the fingers. Resting the arms down and just be aware of the sensation of aliveness in your wrists and your hands. So if we're on keyboards, or maybe we had a wrist injury, that's a really, really nice little sequence to play around with. Do more or do less according to how good it feels on any given day, and recognize that that will change over time.